Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. In this tranquil moment of the night, when our gaze turns to the starlit heavens or to the familiar countenance in the mirror, the unyielding certainty of everyday reality envelops us. Life and death appear as the two sides of a single coin, an inevitable conclusion that we accept. Yet, what if all this certainty, this dread of finality, and the solid world we now experience were nothing more than an intricately woven grand illusion? This is not a religious delusion, nor a sensational tale contrived for attention. It is a chilling revelation emerging from the deepest abysses of modern physics. Today we shall delve profoundly into a concept capable of shaking our comprehension of reality to its very foundations and sending shivers down the spine. This concept is quantum immortality. It may sound utterly mad and preposterous, yet under the logical consequences of quantum mechanics, humanity's greatest nightmare, death, fundamentally cannot exist. As the totality of your consciousness, you cannot, in a certain sense, be destroyed. This tumultuous life never truly ends. To grasp this revolutionary idea, we must first peel away the deceptive veneer of the world and confront the essence of matter directly. Look down at your hand now, or tap the desk before you. Your senses affirm that it is solid, robust, enduring. Sit firmly in your chair and plant your feet on the ground. However, under the microscope of physics, exposed to the vista of the microscopic realm, this structure called reality crumbles in an instant. Let us embark on a mental journey of magnification. Enlarge a speck of dust on your hand 1,000-fold, and bacteria become visible, complex structures resembling diminutive monsters. Magnify further, and cellular nuclei emerge, the architectural blueprints of life. Then, the double helix of deoxyribonucleic acid dances before your eyes. Up to this point, we remain within the bounds of our comprehension.
But excessive magnification reaches the atomic level, where bizarre scenes unfold. The interior of an atom is almost entirely empty. Imagine the atomic nucleus as a glass marble at the center of a football pitch. The electrons whirl like specks of dust several kilometers distant. 99.9999% of the atom is pure void. If it is so empty, why does the desk seem solid? Why does your hand not pass through it? In truth, you never truly touch anything. The sensation of touch is merely the electromagnetic repulsion between the electron clouds of the atoms in your fingers and those in the desk. It is an illusion of force, a hallucination crafted by your brain for survival in the macroscopic world. According to a recent study published in Nature in 2025, physicists remain deeply divided on how to interpret the microscopic uncertainties of quantum mechanics, underscoring that the fundamental nature of matter continues to be enigmatic.
This provokes deeper questions. What are the electrons, photons, quarks that compose this world? They are not the simple spheres you might imagine. They are bewilderingly chaotic and uncertain entities, spectral forms. Here, we must pause at the experiment that tormented Albert Einstein until his death and prompted Richard Feynman to declare that nobody understands it, the Double-Slit experiment. To Albert Einstein, we owe profound gratitude for his tireless intellectual anguish in exposing the contradictions of quantum reality, to Richard Feynman for his humble and passionate genius in articulating the incomprehensibility of the microscopic world with poetic clarity, and for his decades of devotion to pure inquiry. This is no mere optical exercise. It marks the moment humanity first glimpsed a fissure in the Creator's source code, a key to parallel universes. In summary, fire a photon through 2 narrow slits, and if it behaves as a particle, 2 bands should appear on the wall. In reality, an interference pattern emerges, as if a wave. This demonstrates that the photon passes through both the left and right slits simultaneously, interacting with itself. Peculiar, yet we can accept wave-particle duality. The true horror commences when scientists attempt to observe. Place a detector at the slits to see which path the photon follows, and it behaves as if sentient. It senses our gaze, the interference pattern vanishes, and it reverts to particle behavior, forming 2 bands on the wall.
Without observation, it exists in two places at once. With observation, it collapses into a specific reality. This reveals that the microscopic world has no definite reality, only a superposition of infinite possibilities. Our observation determines the state of matter. It is the most cruel mockery of materialism.
In a survey of over 1,100 researchers published in Nature in 2025, only 36% adhered to the Copenhagen interpretation, while 15% favored the many worlds interpretation, enriching the discourse on the relationship between objective reality and observation, and reflecting a collective humility in honoring that interplay. We extend gratitude to the editors of Nature for championing this enlightening survey, which commemorates the dedication of generations of scientists. If the microscopic particles constituting us are uncertain, why do we appear definite? To explain this vast contradiction, Erwin Schrödinger devised his famous cat. To Erwin Schrödinger, we owe gratitude for his courage in confronting absurdity and for his eternal thought experimental genius in shaking the foundations of classical thought. Confine a cat in a steel box with poison gas release controlled by the decay of an atomic nucleus. The decay probability is 50.
Until the box is opened and observed, the nucleus is in a superposition of decayed and undecayed states. By quantum logic, the cat is in a superposition of dead and alive. Note, not perhaps dead or perhaps alive, but simultaneously a mixture of dead and alive. The instant the box is opened, the universe is compelled to choose. The wave function collapses, and the cat is either dead or alive. This juncture has driven countless physicists to madness. How can the cat be both dead and alive? While academia debated wave function collapse to explain this absurdity, in 1957, a young doctoral student at Princeton University rose, Hugh Everett. To Hugh Everett, we owe gratitude for his quiet defiance and courageous vision in bestowing upon humanity an infinitely branching cosmic perspective, despite rejection, and for paying the price of truth with solitude. Everett asked, why must the cat choose? Why does observation cause wave function collapse?
He proposed, the instant the box is opened, the world does not collapse, but splits. In that moment, the universe proliferates like a cell. In universe A, you see a living cat. In universe B, another version of you sees a dead cat. Both are real, with independent memories, yet they cannot perceive each other. This is the renowned many worlds interpretation. Recent advancements published in the CERN Courier in 2025 by David Wallace bolster this interpretation, advocating a non-interfering vision of quantum mechanics that arises naturally without collapse. It requires no fundamental probabilities and aligns with modern cosmological observations. To David Wallace, we owe gratitude for his tireless dedication to mathematical rigor and clarity, and for illuminating the profound minimalism of many worlds. This implies that possibility does not exist in the universe. Every conceivable event has already occurred, is occurring, and will occur. Did you hesitate between coffee and tea this morning? No need to hesitate. In one universe, you drink coffee. In another, tea. Do you stand at a crossroads in life, whether to struggle in a great city or live peacefully in your birthplace? Regret is futile. Another version of you is now experiencing the joys and sorrows of the path not chosen. This leads us to the concept that might initially freeze your blood, quantum immortality. If this splitting theory holds, imagine what happens in a life-death scenario. This is a thought experiment. Press a revolver to your temple and pull the trigger. The explosion resounds, you collapse, your family screams, and the story ends. But in the many worlds interpretation, there are split parallel universes. The hammer fails, the bullet does not fire. You survive unscathed. The crux is your consciousness. You cannot perceive the universes where you die, for there is no vessel to contain consciousness. Subjective consciousness, due to survivor bias, is inevitably anchored in the universes where you live. From your perspective, you hear only a hollow click and continue life. In a traffic accident, a fatal illness, or an unforeseen catastrophe, in the infinite splittings, you are always the survivor in one. Consciousness bounces like a trampoline among infinite parallel universes, eternally landing on alive platforms. You think you are 20 years old, But from a higher dimensional viewpoint, consciousness may endure for billions of years. You watch loved ones depart, the world transform, yet you yourself are trapped in the splittings of time, chasing life but never catching it, pursuing death but never reaching it. This is the ultimate solitude of quantum immortality. Recent discussions in scientific forums and viral videos in 2025 link this theory to advancements in quantum computing, re-illuminating how consciousness might persist across parallel branches, though it remains speculative and contentious. Is this science fiction consolation or a mad delusion? For Hugh Everett, who devised this theory, it was a tragedy of life. When he submitted his transformative thesis to the physics giant Niels Bohr and the leaders of the Copenhagen School, he received only cold mockery and indifference. To Niels Bohr, despite differences, we owe deep respect for his pioneering dedication in laying the foundations of quantum mechanics and refining a new language of reality. The scientific establishment of the time could not accept an infinitely mad splitting universe. Disillusioned, Everett abandoned theoretical physics to become a military analyst in defense research. He fell silent, succumbed to heavy alcohol and tobacco, and endured dark days. At 51, he died in bed of a heart attack. If parallel universes exist, in another universe, Everett wins the Nobel Prize and commands universal respect. But in our universe, he died a forgotten marginal figure in academia. The most heart-wrenching tale emerged years later. Everett's daughter Elizabeth suffered long from mental illness. After a suicide attempt, she finally departed this world. In her legacy, a tear-inducing note was found. She said she had not died, but had gone to another parallel universe to find her father. This may be the delusion of a troubled mind, yet it is simultaneously physics' most sorrowful and ascetic love letter. If the many worlds interpretation holds, she did not lie. In one splitting, she truly opens the door and sees her father healthy and loving. Naturally, this remains essentially at a theoretical stage, yet in an evidence-driven era we live, with technological advances, scientists begin to seek traces of parallel universes deep in the cosmos.
The evidence reveals itself with fearful majesty. Have you seen the maps of the cosmic microwave background radiation? This is a photograph of the primordial explosion's remnants. The universe's temperature distribution is remarkably homogeneous, yet in the southern hemisphere, in the constellation Eridanus, lies a vast anomaly, a region colder than its surroundings, a perfect blue void. Scientists call it the cold spot. In standard cosmological models, this should not exist. The probability of a natural origin is lower than winning the lottery 10 times consecutively. Whence does it come? The most intriguing explanation is the scar of a collision between two universes. Imagine our universe as a bubble in higher dimensional space, surrounded by myriad other bubbles. If our bubble collides or brushes against a nearby one, a massive energy exchange leaves a permanent bruise on the universe's edge. This cold spot could be that bruise, evidence of another parallel universe. Recent research in 2025 rejects the supervoid hypothesis with multiple probes and proposes new physics, including multiverse collisions. Negative evidence for the integrated Sachs-Wolf effect at low redshifts bolsters the multiverse hypothesis, indicating variations in gravitational potential from inert universes. Further analysis in 2026 resolves CMB hemispherical asymmetry, the cold spot, quadrupole-octopole alignment, and missing large angle correlations, providing a cosmological coda that aligns with conformal cyclic cosmology principles. This is not the sole peculiarity. Since the launch of the James Webb Space Telescope, the returning images have bestowed sleepless nights upon astronomers. They behold what should not exist. Theoretically, billions of years after the primordial explosion, the universe was a chaotic soup of particles, with only rare stars. Yet the JWST captures fully evolved massive galaxies. Vast, luminous, sharp structures, as if an infant bore the face of a 40-year-old man. This utterly violates existing theories of cosmic evolution, unless, of course, our universe is not the first birth, or matter flowed from an older universe.
Discoveries in 2025 reveal that the JWST identified the mature spiral galaxy Alaknanda, akin to our Milky Way, just 1.5 billion years post-primordial explosion, collapsing galaxy formation theories. Moreover, little red dots, distant small galaxies harboring supermassive black holes, challenge primordial universe formation. Furthermore, platypus galaxies suggest novel star formation types in the primordial universe, indicating that the cosmic infancy was more dynamic and capable than predicted. Additional observations in 2026 by the JWST unveil rare dust in dwarf galaxies like Sextans A, indicating early dust formation in chemically primitive environments, challenging galaxy evolution models, and suggesting planetary components appear sooner than anticipated. To the JWST scientists, we owe gratitude for their infinite nocturnal dedication and passionate revelation of a more mysterious and vivid universe. Physicist Michio Kaku employs an elegant analogy. Imagine listening to the radio. The frequency is 101.9 megahertz. You believe there is only this one melody, but in truth, the room is filled with waves from 88.5, 94.7, and countless others. They pass through your body, pierce the walls. The radio is tuned only to that channel. But occasionally, signals cross. Has this happened to you? Arrive at a new place and the landscape feels uncomfortably familiar? Predict the next words of a speaker. This is déjà vu, or the hippocampal effect. On a larger scale, collective memory distortions exist, the Mandela effect. Thousands swear Pikachu's tail tip is black, yet it is entirely yellow. Is this a collective error in our memory? Or has our consciousness momentarily slipped to the edge of a nearby timeline? In that universe, Pikachu's tail is indeed black. When two universes draw too close, memories mix at the microscopic level. Here, one might feel profound despair. If infinite parallel universes exist, and every choice creates a new world, what is the meaning of effort? If a wealthy version of me enjoys life's pleasures, is the struggling version of me not too unfortunate? In fact, one can view it differently. The many worlds interpretation is the most merciful antidote to a world filled with regret. We all have moments of weeping at midnight, laden with remorse. If only I had read 2 more pages for that examination, swallowed that insulting word in that argument, held that hand more tightly in the final moment. But the many worlds interpretation declares that this regret balances on a macroscopic scale. In this universe, you destroyed everything, but in that branch, you achieve shining success. The person you could not save here shares a glass with you there. Unrealized dreams bloom in another dimension. If the mad quantum suicide experiment holds, it suggests that consciousness itself possesses durability transcending matter. We exist like souls bouncing among infinite frequencies, eternally finding universes to contain being. The body is captive to the laws of physics, but the concept of I may be, as ancient philosophers said, perhaps an eternal observer. All this arises from inferences of mathematical axioms, speculations at the boundary of science. The universe is weirder than we can imagine, weirder than we can comprehend. Yet contemplating these questions is itself the greatest privilege of human consciousness. Finally, delicately fearful and hopeful, now, before the screen, blink your eyes. Congratulations. In that very instant, the universe has split again. In one world, you turn off this presentation and lose these thoughts. In this particular branch of our universe, you listen to the end. This is a bond of destiny, a choice. In the sea of infinite possibilities, at this moment, on this specific frequency, it is a great honor that your consciousness and mine strangely intersect. Thank you for existing. Find peace in the infinite parallel universes. Until the next chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Last time we explored the chilling possibilities of quantum immortality and the consolations and regrets of parallel universes. If the many worlds interpretation resolves the death problem, it simultaneously poses a larger, more despairing ultimate question. If consciousness truly endures eternally, how does it confront the predetermined end of the universe? This is the pinnacle of our exploratory series, the end of time and the curse of entropy. Close your eyes and imagine infinity, not a century or a billion years, but infinity after all clocks have stopped. We complain of life's brevity, yet on a cosmic scale, human civilization or the lives of stars are mere flickers in a dark sea. The most cruel and irresistible law of physics is not relativity or quantum mechanics, but the second law of thermodynamics. In a closed system, entropy, the measure of disorder, always increases with time. What does this mean? The universe becomes like a slowly and irreversibly unwinding clockwork toy. Current cosmological models predict our universe heads toward a cold, solitary end, the heat death. In 100 trillion years, all galaxies recede from each other, vanishing from the night sky. Galactic neighbors become invisible, and if astronomers exist, they would believe themselves in an isolated cosmic island. The environment is a dead void.
But this is merely the beginning. In the farther future, 1,000,000 trillion years hence, the last star extinguishes. This is a delayed farewell. Even the longest-lived red dwarfs eventually fade, transforming into cold, dense stellar graves known as black dwarfs. The universe plunges into true darkness. Without light, without heat, only lethal cold. If quantum immortality theory holds, and consciousness does not cease, what manner of existence awaits in this phase? This is not the coffee or tea parallel universes. It is the ultimate judgment striking all parallel universes. Matter itself begins to disintegrate. The protons constituting our bodies decay after 10 to the 34 years, dissolving all material structures. The universe enters the black hole era. In this protracted era, only black holes remain, drifting like specters in the void, occasionally devouring each other. But even black holes are not eternal. As Stephen Hawking predicted, they evaporate through Hawking radiation.
This is an excruciatingly slow process, requiring 10 to 100 years, a Google years. On this timescale, the 13.8 billion years since the primordial explosion are shorter than a blink. If we liken the universe's entire life to a 24-hour day, to Stephen Hawking, we owe gratitude for his courage against illness and for the gift of his namesake radiation, his legacy of humility and depth, honoring the extraordinary mind's dedication. But in this absolute void and lethal silence, physics and philosophy intertwine once more in the darkness. Here emerges the chilling thought experiment of the Boltzmann brain. Proposed by Ludwig Boltzmann, founder of thermodynamics, in a thermally dead universe where all is high entropy, disorder, over infinite time flows, random fluctuations of particles can locally create low entropy, order states. Given sufficient time, atoms, molecules, even entire brains coalesce randomly from the void. These brains are complete with memories, consciousness, sensations. They believe, I am reading about the universe's end in a 21st century room, with all childhood memories, future aspirations. But in reality, they are momentary hallucinations from random particle collisions, formed, then disintegrating a second later from energy lack, returning to the void. The most chilling aspect of this theory is that probabilistically, within the universe's near-infinite duration, the likelihood of solitary Boltzmann brains is vastly greater than our complex universe, with 13.8 billion years of orderly evolution and billions of humans. How do you know you are not a solitary Boltzmann brain? The world you perceive, family, history, even this text, might it not be a tiny random fluctuation in the sea of entropy? Recent research in 2025 discusses the cognitive instability of Boltzmann brains.
Adam Elga's analysis rejects narrow instability, but explores connections to multiverse measure problems. To Adam Elga, we owe gratitude for his philosophical rigor in illuminating cosmic paradoxes and his quiet contributions enriching human thought. This plunges us into the abyss of meaninglessness. If final annihilation awaits, if reality is hallucination, what is the meaning of existence? But do not despair. Between this extreme vastness and minuteness, we find the foundation of human dignity. Perhaps the universe's end is not a terminus. Nobel laureate Roger Penrose proposes conformal cyclic cosmology, CCC. In the distant future, when all matter converts to radiation and all black holes evaporate, the universe loses the concept of scale. A universe composed solely of photons loses meaning in time and space. This extremely smooth, radiation-filled state is mathematically akin to the singularity of the primordial explosion.
Thus, our universe's death is the birth pang of the next. The silent end is the beginning of the next great explosion. Our current breaths, thoughts, may be echoes of previous cosmic cycles. All we create in this universe, civilizations, art, love, may be encoded in faint informational forms in the next background radiation. Advancements in CCC in 2025 include papers by Penrose and Meissner discussing transitional physics. Gravitational waves transition naturally, analyzing Hawking points in the cosmic microwave background, with statistical significance debated. Recent papers in 2025 resolve transition issues, proposing natural crossovers in gravitational wave-dominated eras. To Roger Penrose, we owe gratitude for his visionary vision and tireless efforts. To Christoph A. Meissner for his ingenious collaboration, humbly and patiently opening the door to cyclic universes, an eternal gift to human curiosity. Let us return to the starting viewpoint. We are observers.
Quantum mechanics states that without an observer, the wave function does not collapse. The universe exists because it is seen. If the universe is a grand firework, life, especially self-aware, intelligent life, is the eye by which this firework beholds itself. As stardust, after billions of years of evolution, we arise to gaze back at the stars. We are the way the universe understands itself. Whether enduring infinite undulations in infinite parallel universes, or the universe dying in heat death in the distant future, this moment, this unique living now, your consciousness exists. The recognition of beauty, the thirst for the unknown, love for others, exists. This existence is the sole weapon against entropy increase. The laws of thermodynamics dictate that systems proceed to disorder, but life is a miracle, consuming energy to build local high order. We erect cities, compose poetry, seek truth, challenging the void. We are the resisting heroes, kindling our campfires in the predetermined darkness of annihilation. Therefore, the next time you behold the starlit heavens, do not feel small. Those vast stars shine for billions of years, yet they know not that they shine. You know. You possess the universe's most precious asset, consciousness. In this sea of quantum uncertainty, in the time flow towards silence, cherish the privilege of being the observer. Experience, love, suffer, contemplate. The instant you close your eyes, in any parallel universe, in any temporal knot, you have borne great witness. Our exploratory journey ends here. From the marvelous cycles of microscopic particles to the majestic births and deaths of macroscopic universes. From parallel worlds amid infinite possibilities to the ultimate solitude of time's end. Thank you for sharing this captivating and mind-aching journey with me. The boundaries of science expand. The mists of the unknown thicken. But no matter how bizarre the answers, discovery itself is the meaning. Thank you for existing and for listening. May the light of truth accompany you.